Yeah, hello there from Doha. I'm here with Crofty, Sky Sports F1 commentator David Croft, who this weekend, I suppose, on Saturday, you'll be crowning Max Verstappen a 3-times world champion. We'll get on to that at the end, Crofty. But the start of the week's been dominated by the headlines of an 11th team may be on the grid in 2025 or 2026. The FIA, the governing body, are happy for Andretti Cadillac to come in. Now it's down to Formula One's commercial, and that's the big word, rights holder, to make a call on that. Genuinely, what prospect do you think they have of saying yes?
Yeah, as ever, Craig, it's all about the money, honey, when it comes to Formula One. 500 odd pages of a document from Andretti Racing to the FIA that shows that on sustainability, on sporting, on diversity grounds, they should have a place on the grid for 25 or 2026. They've proved to the governing body that when it comes to the sporting side of things, that they've got the wherefore-all and the means to go racing. But now it's convincing the commercial rights holder and the 10 other teams that they're not going to be disadvantaged by an 11th team coming through. At the moment, the teams all receive a payout from Liberty in terms of prize money, and the better teams get more money than the teams that finish bottom get less. But they manage it, and they know what's coming, and it's all been signed and sealed in a Concord agreement which controls the financial commercial side to Formula One. But when you're a member of an exclusive club, and you're doing okay, and you're paying the staff, and you're paying the bills, and you can afford to go racing, someone else coming in to dilute that pot of money risks all that investment and hard work you've put in going to nothing, and you not being able to compete or afford to compete in the future. And that's what we're talking about here. The dilution of that prize money pot with an 11th team coming in, how does that work for the commercial rights holder and for the 10 other teams? Now, at the moment, there's a $200 million figure that's been bandied around as a dilution figure.
$20 million each for each of the teams.
But the teams are saying, hang on, since we decided on that $200 million, sport's grown. You know, we've got a better asset now. We're a franchise with a better asset. And anyone coming in should be paying more in terms of a dilution figure, maybe $600 million, which has been suggested, to compensate us for all the growth that's taken place since the current Concord agreement was signed. So these are the starting points for any negotiation.
Well, this is interesting because that Concord agreement runs out at the end of 2025. Yeah. So that 200 million could be revised upwards if Andretti don't get this over the line before then. In most basic terms, you're asking these commercial bosses at the teams to take a revenue cut. Now, will some of them be saying, well, where were Andretti 5 or 6 years ago when the sport was not doing so well? We have suffered for a number of years to get it where it is now. We don't really need that extra revenue taken away.
I think they will, and they'll be arguing that they've put their money where their mouth is. But they've had the opportunity to do that. And yes, in my lifetime as a Formula One commentator, we've had new teams come in. Max Mosley with the 40 million a year that you can go racing with idea didn't quite work, but Marussia at least came to the grid. HRT, Hispania Racing came to the grid, but they've since fallen by the wayside. From a sporting angle, I'd love to see another team on the grid. I'd love to see more opportunities for drivers that are capable of driving in Formula One getting to the sport. More opportunity for female drivers to get into the sport as well, because at the moment 20 seats isn't really enough for the talent base that is out there. But I've not put my money in to run a Formula One team. And as one team boss said to me, that we're not really happy with the way that Andretti have gone about trying to get into Formula One. We're not overly keen on the way that they've forced the issue publicly. This has not been a private conversation. This has not been a private matter. It's all been played out in the glare of the spotlight. But Mario Andretti said to us at the very first Miami, you know, we're ready to go racing now, and came into our commentary box during a practice session to talk about what was going to happen. So I think that there is a resistance because of the upfront nature of the Andretti bid, but also a fear that their hard work and their investment is not going to pay off in the way that they projected it, because another team is diluting the pot.
Okay, we're just feeding into that, and I just want to check, is our lens okay? We're not not misting up. We had a towel ready
really
to deal with
humid
that.
here,
It's really,
and actually, I'm quite glad of the soft focus on the camera.
People will get steamed up about this. Now, but what about the fans? Because they might get steamed up about this. The broader fan base. F1 saying this is a commercial issue. We'll look at it from in those terms.
Yeah.
Could fan pressure play a part? If they, and maybe that's what Andretti have been about in being public, to get the galvanise the fans behind them and apply that pressure?
I think fan pressure played a part in the Super League not going through in football, and the fans were very anti that. This might work in a reverse way. I'm not sure. I think the negotiations will reach a positive outcome for Andretti Racing if the team bosses and the commercial rights holder can be convinced that by having an American team, and I don't want to say a proper American team because that's being disparaging to Haas, and I don't want to do that, but a team that's based in America and has facilities in America, if that then grows the commercial pot, because every team talks about the commercial opportunities in America, that will put a positive spin on this story. I don't know what the fans think about this. As a Formula One fan, as I say, I'd like to see another team on the grid. But I'm sure there will be a lot of vocal support from fans saying, yeah, we want variety too. But it all comes down to the money. And fan pressure is only one small part of any resolution in a positive way for Andretti Racing.
Yeah. I'm going to decode from what you say there that you think they might be paying a bit more than $200 million to get this over there. Maybe that's what they'll have to do.
That probably is the case. Yeah. 200 million once was a fair dilution figure. $600 million seems like an awful lot of money, but it might not be given the investment and the value of these current franchises. And they're not all making money. Remember that. Aston Martin only last week published a loss for last year. But if they can negotiate on an acceptable figure, I'd love to see another team in Formula One, and I'm sure you would too.